Welcome to the second half of our discussion of relationships. And we're late because Jamie has been busy working on a house. So we've been working on a house for her mom. So she hasn't been able to be on all the streams, but soon she will be back for the streams.
Yep, house is almost done. Mom's in. She's happy. So back to streaming. And this time we're going to talk about this book, For Better, For Best, by Gary Smalley. Protestant book. But first we're going to go back to our notes from Priestmont Cosmos on YouTube. His channel is Orthodox Talks. He has over 100 talks on there, and a lot of them are about marriage and family. So I listen to a lot more of those. And I'm just going to read off my notes to you.
I always sneeze in here.
And you can react or not react, and I'll just keep reading.
I'll react. Make it interesting.
Okay, thanks, man. That's what you're here for, to make it interesting. So last time we left off, we were talking about the flood and the Old Testament, talking about particularly adultery. So he talks about in one of his talks, why was the Old Testament penalty so harsh for adultery? And that theme comes up a lot. Why is God so harsh in the Old Testament? And he says it's because they were not mature enough and needed immediate consequences to learn right behavior. Would you agree with that?
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah. So, an adulterer in the Old Testament is called a son of death. And I guess David and Nathan is the story that he references.
No.
He says, even pagan cultures condemn cheating. Punishments like cutting off your nose or blinding or burning the offensive party were common in the pagan cultures. So cheating and adultery is a serious thing, whether you are Christian or not, or whatever you are. The penance for adultery in the Orthodox Church, he says, could go up to 18 years. That's really a long time. So it's a serious offense. He says the betrayed party can sometimes be partially culpable for the adultery. So that's an interesting one. If you are selfish or not meeting the other person's needs and you push them to do something they wouldn't otherwise do, you can be guilty of that. He gives examples: abandonment, pornography, occult practices, selfish, and all of those reasons could make you also guilty of your partner cheating on you, right? Divorce from adultery, he says, is an option. Definitely, it doesn't have to be a rule, but it is your choice if you want to leave or forgive. He says Christians who don't attend church are like a vineyard without a fence and vulnerable to demonic attacks, spells, etc. So an interesting thing about his talks, he had a whole talk about how the occult and paganism can ruin a relationship by other people doing spells and falling into things that you wouldn't normally fall into, like cults that have group sex and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, and all that stuff is just trying to seek answers and solutions outside of God's way of doing things, and so it doesn't work. It's all it's emptiness, foolishness.
So he says women who get abortions, when she does have a baby, it can cause her family grief. He's seen that a lot. The child that comes along after she's had her mistakes or her party years or whatever, the type of child that she has later on is going to be a problem child. So that was an interesting. So a lot of the things that he comes up were like, that's really, never heard that before. Have you?
I've heard that, yeah.
Oh, really? So, speaking of magic, he was talking about why would you go to a magician or a tarot card reader or a psychic or any of those things, when the church has specific saints and prayers for all the same issues. So you would go to your tea leaf reader or your psychic or your palm reader or your tarot card reader with your love problems, your money problems, relationship problems, job, whatever. But he's saying the church has provisions for all of these. They have specific saints that you can appeal to for these help with specific issues. And a cult is a placebo. What would you call it? False.
An idol.
An idol, yeah, instead of going to church. And then just another interesting point that I wrote down. They used to do the Eucharist in secret because pagans would steal it and use it in rituals. So that's why
they still do that.
They don't give it to you like in Catholic Church. They hand, or some churches they'll hand it to you and let you take it themselves. But Orthodox Church, you have to take it right in front of the priest so you don't take it away and use it in a ritual. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, Satanists still do that.
Yeah, I know. So, was there sex before the fall? What do you think?
There was gender before the fall,
Yeah.
but not necessarily biological procreation as we know it, no.
Okay, so he would say that. He would say no because there were no physical needs. There was no hunger. There was no thirst. There was no need for...
Right, so the biological needs were not the same.
Right. He says children could come about in any way God chose, and after the fall he chose sex to have children. Let's see. Another question is about fasting. And sex is a big part of fasting, not just food. Orthodox married couples are encouraged to fast from sex. The prerequisite, though, is that they both agree to do the fast. So one can't fast on the other, right? He says typically what they would do is fast on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Maybe Saturday night, the eve of a feast, and the 4 great Lents. But that is up to every couple and how pious they want to be. One point he made is that if you want to fast and you're Orthodox and your partner is not, it's a greater sin to withhold from them.
Right.
Than to fast for your own piety. So, let's see. Not all sex acts are permitted in marriage. That's interesting, right?
Obviously.
So even
well, I mean,
it has
all
its
kinds
limits.
of things that would be perversions.
Yeah, like in the back, right? So that's never a good idea. Not even if you're married. Let's see. Don't abstain too long so you're not tempted to cheat or self-satisfy. You must agree on the terms of fasting. Don't marry someone who doesn't know how to pray. So, one of the biggest things that you'll be looking for in a partner is someone who knows the prayers, has a prayer rule, knows how to pray, knows the importance of praying and praying together. He says all marital problems need to be solved with prayer. If your spouse insists on sex on a fast day is a lesser sin to give in, you should not refuse. Okay, I just said that. You can be excommunicated, he says, for denying your spouse because you could be causing them to give in to temptation. Right? I see there's this, what's it called? Dead bedrooms on Reddit. I've read that a couple times. It's really crazy. A lot of the problems that the people have in those dead bedroom communities could be solved with the Orthodox way of thinking about sex and sexuality.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Same with people being overweight.
Yeah.
Because, there's not self-control.
Let's see. Is avoiding conception a sin? What do you think?
In general, yeah.
There are no canons or really consensus about this, but in keeping with the spirit of the gospel and the whole Bible is that children are a blessing. You shouldn't get in the way of conceiving, do you think?
I would say typically that's the teaching of the fathers, yes.
Yeah. He says he's really against even birth control pills. Because
Those
they
are
can
unhealthy.
have a abortive.
Well, they're also unhealthy too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Every girl I know, including myself, once they get on birth control pills,
When you took them.
in the
You don't
past,
mean
they just gain weight. Like, just plan on gaining 20 pounds as soon as you
Don't they
get
stop
on
your
that.
period? That's not natural.
Well, they did mine because that's what how the doctor prescribed them to do it. But
That's not natural.
normally if you take them, you would still have a period. But the way I was prescribed them, they did stop it, and everything went bad. But it's better now. But yeah, so even for vanity's sake, like, you shouldn't take those birth control pills because you get real fat and moody. Let's see. This was kind of off topic, but he says vegans who condemn meat eaters are anathema. So.
Yeah, we've covered that many
Yeah,
times, Tristan.
really.
There's many church fathers condemn vegan cults.
The church was made from the side of Christ as Eve was made from Adam. Priests need to study and be aware of things in popular culture that influence Christians. So this particular priest, Father Cosmas, is wishing that more priests would study the occult and conspiracies so they know how to deal with the people and their questions. Right. Let's see. In relationship, he says...
Yeah, then more of them would enjoy the material that we put out.
Yeah.
They would realize we're not crazy.
Yeah. Someday we'll be vindicated. When the fake aliens
you think they
come,
would now, but
what?
you'd think they would already with the news that's come out already. But
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Let's see. He says resentment is a passion killer. So anything that you resent each other for is going to come in the way of your romance and sex. Be careful reading too many monastic books because they are celibate and struggle with desire, have negative attitudes about sex.
Yep.
So he's, like we said before, he was recommending if you're married, try to read the writings of married saints. If you're monastic, then go that direction. He says the married saints have no negativity towards sex. Men and women are equal, but men are given more authority, which means responsibility. It doesn't mean, what's that word? Tyrannical authority.
You don't know that word?
Yeah, I know that word, but I couldn't think of it.
Okay.
It just means they have more responsibility. If the husband is not faithful in the mind and body, God will take care of the wife. That's why there were so many divorce laws, he's saying.
Divorce laws where?
In the Old Testament and in the Bible. Let's see. He says, when a husband and wife don't love or care about each other anymore, sin has come between them. An immoral man will not love or appreciate his wife no matter how beautiful or sweet she is. So, you cannot please a man who is not godly, no matter what, right? The selfish partner, even if not guilty of adultery, is also responsible for the transgression. He said that like 3 times. Let's see. Submit to a Christian husband. It is almost impossible not to respect a truly righteous and pious man. So if guys is what they're wanting is respect, and women want love, if he is righteous and pious, it's hard to not respect him. Does that make sense? Let's see. Modern men, he says, are exceptionally dysfunctional. Would you agree with that in the tone of
Yeah.
Aeon of Horus and all that? Yeah. Grown men are not mature enough to be a husband or father. So that is, I would totally agree with that. Like this generation, millennials and Zoomers, most of them, I would say there's no way they're at like 18 or 20
Yeah.
mature enough
Right.
to get married. Right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. If they're still into video games, if they're still into excessive internet, if they're still into recreation and all those, childish things that people are into, they're
Right.
not ready to get married. Let's see. Psychologists, he says, warn about the deep anger from women whose husbands will not be a good leader. Her attitude is, I'll do it myself. And you see that a lot in gender relations, feminism, and stuff.
Right.
Like, I don't need no man because he's a child anyways. Like, and he's not even nice to me. So I'll just do it myself, right? Marriage. Most problems comes from a wife's wounded reaction to poor leadership and lack of sacrificial love. A distracted, dismissive husband will have a depressed and withdrawn wife. Let's see, what else did I write? The husband is the captain of the ship. He's the rudder. He's what? And the wife is like a co-pilot. She's the mature servant. But along with that role, like Christ is, he's also the servant of everyone, right? The primary reason for a woman who commits adultery is another man paid more attention to her and was more tender. He said someone who talks to her and engages her in conversation can come between a husband and wife if their relationship isn't strong, right? So he says the amount of respect a wife feels for her husband is proportional to the amount of love she feels coming from him. So that is the end of the notes.
I mean, there's other issues too that could draw a woman away. I mean, sometimes, it's not just a matter of the man's failure. I mean, sometimes women want to upgrade.
That's true.
Sometimes women are looking for, the idea that there's no such thing as hypergamy is just simply false.
Yeah, I think both genders are guilty of that. I think both genders are guilty of all the things. But we have our tendencies and.
But it's not always a two-sided road. I mean, in some situations, there's one side that's guilty.
That's true. And I was going to talk about this in this book because there was some advice in here that I thought would be kind of dangerous because when these things are written, the problems that couples have today are so far removed from even 20 years ago.
I mean, that's a boomer evangelical book, so we don't have those problems.
But even like...
I mean, I have some of those problems. But.
The problems that you see today are like, my boyfriend wears diapers and wants to put a leash on me and walk around the grocery store like a dog. Like, these are the kinds of issues that couples have, women and men are having right now. Like, am I...
Okay, but you have to remember that Reddit is a sliver of society that's not the norm in society. You can't make those judgments on the basis of what you read on Reddit.
I'm saying that's the worst of the problems. And on the spectrum, these kind of communicate and be sweet solutions are not like antiseptic enough for what's going on.
I know, because it's turning into total demonic degeneracy.
Yeah, but it's still nice. There's some things in here that I liked. So
hit the high points of what's good in that
I will
book.
do that. Lasting relationships. It says
we're not recommending the evangelical relationship books because they're not going to be sufficient because they don't have a sacramental understanding.
Yeah.
But there might be some good points just from a practical perspective.
I liked these because they were short. Your mom gave them to me, and I wanted to.
I understand.
Make sure I went through them. So we'll just go through what I highlighted. 99% of the time, it is women who seek out therapy to improve their relationship. So it was interesting because this book, the first book was like
You can keep going.
written for men.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also written for men. Like, like, what can the man do better in both books? So, like I said,
So there's nothing about what a woman
well,
could do
he's
better.
the pilot of the relationship, or he's the
Okay.
makes the direction of, you know, how it's gonna go, not her. All she can do is follow, or have boundaries, or refuse, or whatever. Okay. But 99% of the time, it's women who are trying to work on improving the relationship, not men. Let's see. A big complaint he was getting from women and men is that the wife was too sensitive. I'm sure we've had that conversation before, right?
I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah.
Every marriage.
The wife is overreacting a lot. She's touchy, sensitive, but he's saying that women have that. You have to look at the feminine side of it. Like, her sensitivity is a strong point, not a weakness.
I mean, it can be.
Right.
It can be both.
So let's just go through this. Men need to remember that sensitivity was one of the first things that attracted her to him. It's a feminine trait. If the husband will do his part first, it's much easier for the wife to carry out her responsibilities with enthusiasm and commitment. She is the helper, a completer, but you need to help her help you. So you need to recognize that you need help. It's not good for a man to be alone. And how do you help her help you? And we're all helping each other. Let's see. He says, admiration is to a man what romance is to a woman. So if you're not his biggest number one fan,
that makes sense.
yeah. So often a man is completely unaware of his wife's sensitive nature. The things that are important to her, like anniversaries and holidays, aren't always important to him, but he needs to remember those things because they're important to her. He says, here's 8 ways husbands hurt their wives' feelings. Aw. He frequently criticizes. He doesn't pay attention to your words or ideas. Here's one. The wife smashed the husband's TV, and he just got up and went to the bedroom and started watching TV in the bedroom.
That's from an internet meme thing.
But this reminded me of video games.
Okay, well, you can't smash our stuff.
I would never.
Okay.
That stuff expensive, man. He doesn't assume the household responsibilities. Let's see. His needs always come first. He shows preference to others over you. I could see that. He acts superior, like you're a doormat. He tries to explain your hurts instead of trying to understand your feelings and empathize you. He doesn't go out of his way to add romance. His actions lead to your reactions. So, what else? He compares a woman and a man to a butterfly and a buffalo. So a woman is just like this tender creature. I think women are stronger than that, but I guess you can treat them like tender things.
I mean, there's got to be a balance there. You can't be...
Yeah. If you're ever wondering whether or not your husband is thinking about the relationship, he's probably not. So yeah, that's true. Women spend a lot of time thinking about interactions and feelings and relationships and stuff like that, and he's thinking about motorcycles, whatever.
No, that's not what I'm thinking about.
He's thinking about theology, or
Making a living.
making money. Yeah.
Motorcycles takes up zero amount of my thought space.
I was just thinking of an example of what guys like get engrossed in.
Right.
Mechanics is one. Let's see. Women's intuition is an unconscious perception of minute details that are sometimes tangible, abstract.
And sometimes exaggerated and meaningless.
Since
They
it
are.
is usually an unconscious process, many times a woman isn't able to give specific explanation for why she feels. But that's why women are so good at relationships, because they intuit. They pick up on all the subtle things that a man would never notice.
Yeah, but sometimes it's given all this meaning that's not there.
Yeah, maybe.
No, not maybe.
Chapter 4, helping your husband become more sensitive.
Yeah, if you want to get cheated on.
Well, don't you think that you should be
I don't know what that means. I mean,
You don't have to be like
if he's brutal, okay.
a sensitive new age guy, like Gaia guy, but you can be more sensitive and
I don't
like
see you
selfless.
with a sensitive man.
Well,
You didn't go for a
you're
snag.
nice enough.
Okay.
Well, you're not cruel, so what do you
There we
mean?
go. I like that better. Shoot for being not cruel. That's a good goal. Let's agree with that one.
Well, I guess
Let's agree to that.
you need my help.
Then let's
becoming more
agree
sensitive.
to not cruel. That's a good way to phrase it. You sold it, see?
Yeah.
You're becoming more rational and logical every day. I'm rubbing off on you. It's jokes. Banter.
How do you honestly tell someone something you find displeasing or aggravating?
My allergies going crazy.
I don't know. These are like communication
Okay.
prompts. It's pretty entry level therapeutic stuff. Use I feel statements. Avoid you did this. Stuff like that. Let's see. Motivating your husband to listen to you. Haha.
Why did you do ha-ha there?
Because it's like, if you don't want to talk, then I'm just not going to talk. Like, why do I have to couch all of these things? And
It seems like you want to take Gary Smalley to task.
no, I'm just saying, like, that's really annoying. Why do I have to, put salt in my conversation to make a man interested in what I had to say? Like, either you're
What
not...
does that mean? Salt?
He says use the salt principle, and he's like giving
does
tricks
that
about
mean?
how to arouse your curiosity so you can listen to my blathering.
What is salt? I don't know what that means.
Just things that will pique your curiosity. And he has like a whole conversation written out.
Well, maybe he's counseling boring boomers.
Yeah, I guess, but if I'm talking and you're not caring, then I'm just gonna stop talking. Like, I'll go do something else. Why do
What?
I have to
What'd you
learn
say?
how? Exactly. Yeah. We can end this conversation right now instead of arousing.
Well, I think
curiosity.
you and I have good conversation because we have a lot of similar interests, and you're an intelligent person, and you're witty. So, we don't typically have this problem of, where we don't ever talk and I just watch TV all day and you feel hurt.
But I'm not a big chatterbox, so it's like when I speak, people tend to listen, even if it's not about anything important, just because I don't just talk all the time. So
That's true.
don't ask for his time or attention. Da, da, da. Usually when a girl says we need to talk, it means something bad. Okay, motivating your husband to change. Is this or is this not the point of marriage? This is a big question that I keep hearing. Are you, as a woman, responsible to change a man and help him become better, or are you not?
I mean, isn't that part of this sacramental relationship, is that we're both spurring each other on to change in a godly way?
Yes.
But, I mean, you're not going to change a person's personality.
No. So you don't pick a project person. Like, you don't go...
Right. That's foolish.
Like, to a homeless shelter and look for people that you can, like, date.
You're going to marry this whore to make her into a good girl.
Yeah. So you want to vet them thoroughly, because you're not their therapist, you're not their savior, you're not their parent. But the point of the marriage is that you both change, and that it's part of your salvation. So it's a yes and no thing, right?
Right. Exactly.
I put, does this really work? I don't know. Yes, it works. Motivate him to change. Oh, he tells a story about a guy who was cheating. And then the woman just decided to, like, start being extra special nice to him. She says she found herself doing kind little things for him even though she didn't like him. Within 3 weeks, Greg noticed a change in Joyce, that he found himself more attracted to her than to the other woman. I don't like that. I think that's a risky game. I think...
Well, I mean, if somebody's cheating and you do want to rescue the marriage, I mean, you're not losing anything by trying.
Yeah, but for the woman getting cheated on...
I'm talking about for a woman.
I don't think that being extra special, sweet, and nice is going to turn an adulterous person around, and I think that's...
Why do you think that?
Because that's not the reason that he started to cheat in the beginning.
Yeah, but it could be the case that that person that he's cheating with, when that honeymoon wears out, and he realizes the reality and they don't get along, he realizes he's made a huge mistake. Remember what Solomon says about pouring fire on heaping coals on. So,
but a lot of people, especially women,
a lot of people don't realize that.
Who get cheated on internalize this like there's something wrong with them inherently, and that's not true, because that person would have cheated on anybody that they were with.
Well, now hold on. You already said a minute ago that it's not always the case that when somebody gets cheated on, it's the cheater's fault. There can be dual fault here.
Right. But just, I don't know. I just think I think it's too easy to tell a woman, oh, he cheated on you, so you just be nicer and then he'll come around. Like,
what I'm saying is that it's a time-sensitive situation.
Yeah.
So, if people are parting ways, it's not gonna make it worse by, doing things with the intention of trying to salvage it. Because if it's going to part ways, if you're going to go different ways, if it's going to end, it's going to end. So.
Mm-hmm. Use your sensitivity to find the positive in the negative. Okay, so here's some things that you would say are negative about your partner. 10 minutes.
Okay.
But you have to reframe their personality traits so that you see the positive side of it instead of the negative. So if you think that they're slow, the positive side is
slow.
Yeah, not like mentally slow, but like slow doing things. Like, you're not ready yet. It's maybe because they're attentive to details. If you think they're careless, maybe they're easygoing. If you think they're fussy, it means they're careful and like to do things right. That's me. I like precision, and you don't.
That's not true.
I mean, no, you don't not like precision, but he'll scoop the top of the butter off the top.
Who cares?
I know.
That kind of stuff.
Like, that's what I
Doesn't
mean.
matter.
Like, just things that would, if you have a personality like mine that it's a little OCD or organized, like, it's just has to be laughed at because it's, to me, it's absurd. Like, you scoop off the top of the stick of butter.
Okay, you need to lighten up a little bit, but
Yeah.
if that's bugging you.
It doesn't bug me. It makes me laugh because I would never do that. Let's see. There's other examples, like if you think they're too strict, they're probably very disciplined and have self-control. Let's see. Minimize your expectations. Okay, that's a big one in marriage. Be grateful for things that you have and
That's true.
manage your expectations.
What's he's talking about? Like marriages that are unrealistic in their expectations? Like newlyweds that are unrealistic?
Yeah, and let's see. For years, Ben had been living under the weight of Sue's expectations. Each time he bought her something, either it wasn't enough or it was too late. When he would finally fulfill her expectations, she would express the attitude, "It's about time."
Well, she sounds
So
like a bitch.
The feeling that you can never please your partner is something that maybe they need to manage their expectations about what your performance should
Makes
be.
sense.
As we rest in the Lord, we become free to help those around us because we're not expecting anything from human sources, but only from the Lord. Free yourself from unnecessary disappointment.
Okay.
If your husband has succeeded in making you more calloused, it is important that you regain the sensitivity that you have lost. So, if you are a guy and your girl's not very sweet anymore like she used to be, it's because you have had a part in making her more callous. By what? By being harsh, being negative, being critical, being nagging, being, all of the things that guys like roasting each other and things that wouldn't hurt a guy's feelings will hurt a girl's feelings. And that will make her more callous and you'll like her less because she's not as sweet anymore because the sweetness comes from sensitivity. Does that make sense? How to be more beautiful. He's talking about have a quiet spirit, a gentleness that comes from sensitivity. Here's a story of a man who was super aggressive and yelled at everyone except for his wife because she was just too sweet. The more we value something, the more gentle we will be in handling it. That's true. Okay, how to increase your husband's desire to spend quality time with you. Okay. Admire him. Is that true?
I think husbands like to feel appreciated and respected.
Yeah. Express a positive attitude on a consistent basis. So basically, just be a person people want to be around.
Right.
Competing with his interests. Wife says, how can I become more attractive than his other interests? I don't know. I just think, honestly, I think you just have to let them wear themselves out and then they'll go find something else to do. And
yeah, I mean, the more that you can have in common, the better. But at the same time, everybody needs time doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm. I think if you just let him go and do the thing, as long as it's not flirting, adultery, cheating with other women, he'll get tired of that and he'll come back and have fun with you. You don't have to worry. And then that gives you time to have your own interests and hobbies and social life too, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't have everything bound up in another person. You're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
You got to have some.
Oh, well, here's a good one. If you want to spend more time with your dude, let him teach you stuff. That's a big one.
Yes.
I've noticed about guys always want to teach you something. And if you're willing to learn, then they will spend a lot more time and invest in you a lot more if they can feel like they're teaching.
Well, I've asked you many times. You could take the initiative and teach me to play the keyboard.
Well, we'll get one. Yeah, so teach each other stuff. But yeah, girls, if you like a dude, and just ask him to teach you something.
Mm-hmm. And don't do it in a fake way. You know, pick something you really want to learn about.
Yeah. We're gonna do a show on rom-coms soon, so that should be fun. We can take all of these
Dynamics
and we'll analyze some fun romantic comedies, maybe for Valentine's Day. That would
Okay.
be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how to increase your husband's sensitivity to your emotional needs and desires?
Sounds pretty gay.
Here's a good one. A woman does not want to be objectified. You've heard that a lot, right? Do you guys even know what that means? Like, please don't objectify me.
I mean, I know women say this, but
Yeah.
I know that women also want to be seen as a sexy thing.
Yeah, but
So
to
Depends on
maybe
what
to
that
one
means.
guy, but like not universally. Okay, anyways.
I mean,
He says a woman can become so much part of her children, her home, and her job that she often loses her identity as an individual. Consequently, she feels a deep need to be singled out and loved individually by her husband. She wants to be loved for who she is rather than for what she does. So, basically,
well, who you are is
what you
intimately
do,
connected to
yeah,
what you do.
but
It's
if
not
you-
identical, but it's connected to it.
if suddenly you can't do all the things and the tasks and like be the awesome wife, mother, like maid, cook, clean, everything, all of that, does that mean that he loses his love and attraction for you? No. Like, if you suddenly become sick and need help and you can't perform like you once could, you still want to be loved,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the point he's making. So you need to love your spouse for who they are, and just for love's sake, not because of all the things that they do performatively. Okay.
I mean, that comes with qualifications because it depends on what we mean by what they can do. I mean, if somebody voluntarily, like, oh, I'm not going to do anything anymore, then that's
No,
different.
I'm saying if she's unable to for out of her own
Not by her will.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, what happens if somebody gets cancer? Do you say, "Oh,
Mhm.
I'm divorcing you because you're no longer utilitarian to me"? That's being objectified. That's what, you know. Let's see.
What's next?
How to motivate your husband to receive your correction without defensiveness.
Correction in the sense of, like, if I was wrong about something?
Yeah.
A fact or?
I mean, like, you know, you hurt my feelings. You have to be more sensitive, I guess. He's talking again of these, like, therapeutic, always layer your slice of correction between two pieces of praise.
Well, yeah, that's, I mean, a lot of times, instead of creating a scene, getting all upset, being dramatic, the easiest way to approach it would be to just simply say, I would really like to do this, right? But if you storm out of the room and you throw things around, you huff and puff and this, it just makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
So just simply say, I'd really like to do this right now. I'd really like to do that.
Yeah. That's really hard for women, though. Like, 'cause
Why?
I don't know why. Because it's just all so wrapped up in, like, emotion. So it's really hard to be very Spock-like and tell you exactly what the needs are. I don't know. It's just
Okay.
birds and bees, man. I don't know. It's not easy
Okay, well,
to be emotionless.
it's not a matter of being emotionless. It's a matter of saving emotions for the things that are worth being emotional over.
Yeah. How to gain your husband's appreciation and praise. Validation is the key. So yeah, this book it's okay. It had some cute stuff in it. Next time we will talk about marriage in an Orthodox frame, and I'm gonna read 2 books that were given to me at our
Yes.
wedding,
Right, those look good.
and bring that stuff to you next time.
And I wasn't yawning because I was bored. I'm yawning because we had a lot to do today, and we had a long stream, and I've been reading a lot. So anyway, thank you for your patience, and I'm sorry that this part 2 took so long, but we'll have more part 2s coming in the next few days.